Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. You guys read the title, you guys already know what's going on here if you follow me on Twitter. I got to play Gray Zone Warfare really damn earlier than a lot of people got to. And I just want to say before we start this video that this is a very important video to watch for reasons that I'm going to get into here in just a moment. But I want to take this time while I still have you to say thank you to everyone at Madfinger who allowed me and the other content creators to play the game early. I appreciate the hell out of you guys. Y'all have been absolutely incredible to me and my community. But back to why I said this video is very important. If you've been on the fence whether or not you should respect these guys or get involved with Gray Zone Warfare, this is the video that will answer your question. But before I continue any further, make sure you guys hit that like and sub button for more content like this. All right, let's just jump right into it. But yeah, like I said in the beginning, I got to play Gray Zone Warfare really damn early. I would say it's about 3 to 4 weeks before the raw gameplay even came out. But even before the playtest, we had seen the raw gameplay in the Discord via a VIP content creator town hall. So we kind of already knew what we were going to get into with the playtest, and to be honest, as soon as we seen this game in engine being played by Merrick, our jaws hit the fucking floor. We were just so blown away with how much progression was being made, and we were pretty much begging these guys at this point to release the raw gameplay or let us into the fight so we could actually play. Sure enough, a couple weeks go by, they tell us that we're getting involved in a playtest. I get thrown into this Discord with a bunch of big content creators, and we are able to actually play the game. Now, for full disclosure here, the build that we played on during this playtest was about a month old, but it was the most stable build that they had for us to play on. And I also want to make it a point that throughout the entirety of the playtest, there was not a single issue with the servers, and people had very minimal issues with the game itself. That is, if you had an NVIDIA graphics card. For me and my other AMD people who were in the playtest, I think there was maybe 4 of us total to include me, we had a few issues with the game. Really, to be quite honest, it was mainly just frame instability issues. The guys had to either lower their graphics settings or go into the AMD Radeon post effects and turn off some things that they had enabled. For me, on the other hand, my case was a little bit different. I kept getting a UE5 Vulkan error every time I would try to load up into the lobby. So the game would boot, I would connect to the server, but the game would not load me into that server. And while we were trying to figure this out in the Discord call that we had set up, you had Rick, Devil Dog, Ricky, and Foxic all in this Discord trying to help me figure out what the hell was going on. But after the issues that I had, me and the other guys from Madfinger, we just sat down and did a shit ton of rigorous testing pretty much that entire day. And I'm talking dev team, community managers, QA. We all just didn't know what was going on, so we decided, screw it, we're gonna fix this issue before anything else happens. And with that being said, we pretty much did everything we could to this game to get it to work. We were turning off and on certain settings, we were trying to do resolution changes, we were trying to do a lot of shit, and it just still wasn't really working. So after multiple attempts and nearly 8 hours of troubleshooting on the first day of the playtest, I was told that I probably wouldn't be able to play during this playtest. And that was kind of the reason why they decided to do a playtest like this, is so they could find really critical issues or maybe even just minor issues and fix those, so by the time it goes into early access launch, the game is pretty much damn near perfect. But towards the end of the day, I was basically told that, yeah, you probably wouldn't be able to play during the playtest. They offered their condolences and they apologized to me like it was the end of the world. And I just told them, I'm not mad at you guys. It's just shit that happens and it comes with the territory. Now, during this point in the video, you're probably asking me, well, Red, why did you not flip the fuck out? I would be so irate if this happened to me. And the reason why is because they stopped what they were doing almost immediately to help diagnose the issues that myself and the other AMD users were having. And also, their internal testing did not have any issues like this. So I wasn't mad at them. They apologized to me, like I said, several times, and that was pretty much the end of it. I was then told maybe an hour or two later that the tech team immediately went back into the office to diagnose the issue. And like I said, this was after being told I probably wouldn't be able to play. The tech team just went in and they started working their magic. After showing up back to the office after working pretty much the entire day getting the servers and the game ready to be play tested, they grabbed the spec sheets for everyone who had a 100% AMD system like myself, and they started getting to work. I was told it would be about 2 weeks while they get the parts for my PC, build it out, and try to run different builds of this game to see which one would work. The next day, not even 24 hours later, they sent me a build that worked. And with that, I was also provided with a stability INI file that would allow me to pretty much adjust values subdermally, meaning that I wouldn't have to go through the UI screen that was already established in the game. I could just fix them on a notepad document, save it, relaunch the game, and it would probably work. But then we ran into a couple more issues with the INI file. Whenever I would try to adjust some texture values, it would break the game. But hey, it was a start. I went from not being able to play the game at all, 24 hours later, here I am playing the game. Then I was told literally right after that, hey, the guys are going back back to the office to make you another build. Just stand by and we'll give it to you probably within a day or two. I would say maybe about 7 or 8 hours later, I was sent another build of the game to play, and it actually fucking worked. These guys told me it would be about 2 weeks and I probably wouldn't be able to play, and within 24 to 48 hours, I was able to play Gray Zone Warfare. And what you're seeing on screen is pretty much how my game looked after they sent me the updated build. You will notice that there is some frame instability here and there, but everything worked as planned, and we were actually able to run games with myself, Flow Beatbox, and BigfryTV. We went through the entire mission that was seen in the raw gameplay footage, and I gotta tell you right now, that was some of the most fun I have ever had with a game like this. We were flying in the damn helicopter from the base to our first objective. We were clearing motherfuckers out left, right, and center on the streets. You know, and while we were moving through the environment and gunning down AIs and looking at how beautiful this game looks, we just couldn't believe that we were actually playing Gray Zone Warfare. You want to talk about an immersive experience? This is the game that's going to give it to you. And the reality of how immersive this game can be for you is as soon as you hit your feet on the ground of the first landing zone and start making your way to your first objective, you realize that shit is about to get real. There's just something really chilling about moving through a grassy knoll with your partners, making sure that you keep your head on a swivel to not alert anybody, all the while making sure that you can still see your team and communicate with them effectively while you're on your way towards a more populated area of Lemang. There's not a whole lot of games that are going to give you that experience. I also want to brag about how good the weapons felt to me. Now, if you're one of these people who cannot stand Tarkov's weapon system, this is going to be the game for you. However, if you tend to really enjoy Tarkov's weapon system, I don't see why anybody would, but if you're one of those people who have taken a strong liking to it, then this may not particularly be for you. But no matter what side of the argument that you fall into, I still feel like you can appreciate what they're doing here. You can still appreciate the things that they're striving for because it screams quality. And that also gets broken down into the sound staging element. The sound staging for the weapons is some of the absolute best I have seen come from the industry. I know I said in my video 2 days ago that the sound staging could use a little bit of work, and believe me, it absolutely still does. But that doesn't mean I still can't give them credit where credit is due. These guys put in a lot of damn work into the sound of these guns, the visual recoil, how it reacts in the environment, the sounds that are made when it bounces off objects, the sound itself echoing throughout buildings and streets. But like I said in my video 2 days ago, if they just bump up that low end and just increase the mids just a little bit, these guns are gonna pop and crack the way that you want them to. We also got to experience how hostile the AI is in this game. Now, the AI topic when it comes to Gray Zone Warfare has been one of the hotter topics discussed, mainly because the AI do not function the way that many people would expect it to. And a lot of that had to do with some server desync issues while playing the game, but Rick and the devs would be the first ones to admit that they needed to calibrate the AI better. And I completely 100% agree. They shouldn't be as strong as me without body armor. And that was one of the things that we seen as the biggest issue out of the entire playtest. The AI were just way too spongy for our liking. They also talk a lot of shit. Like if they suspect that you're nearby, they're gonna start yelling obscenities at you to get you to come out so they can fight you. But after talking to Devil Dog, Rick, Merrick, and again, 2 of the other guys who were with me trying to diagnose my issues, they told me that in the most recent build of the game, the AI are a lot easier to handle. They react appropriately to the ballistic system that they were advertising about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And being able to see that in action as well is really impressive. However, it's more subtle than what I thought it was going to be. So moving into the early access launch or even the full release, I want to see that system become more evident and apparent. Not saying that it's bad or that it's almost non-existent, it's just not as blatant as people would think it's going to be. Now, because of my embargo, there are some things that I am not allowed to show on the screen. However, I will give you guys the discretion of knowing that I had already talked to Rick and the others about the UI and UX when it comes to Gray Zone Warfare, because genuinely it needs a little bit more work done to it. It's intuitive and it works for the time being, but if they were to release the game tomorrow with the UI that it has, there's going to be a lot of upset people. Now, the mission that we played is the same mission that you seen in the raw gameplay video. So you would go up to the house, snatch the phone, move on to the other house, snatch the objective, leave, and then go back to the main base and turn everything in. And that sounds pretty linear when I'm telling you that, but I can promise you, once you clear through it the first time and kind of know where you're going, you can take your time and just move throughout the environment because there's no mission timer. You don't have a certain amount of time to get into the mission, get out, and go back to home base. There's nothing like that. You can take your sweet ass time and explore the environment, and that's exactly what we did. You know, the attention to detail that was on the interior of the buildings, on some of the objectives, on the weapons, on the outsides of the building, the streets, the signage, all of this shit just screams quality. But with all of the pros I've talked talked about so far, there are a few things that I want to see added into this game before it comes into early access or even before the full release of this game. Number one, the AI needs to be fixed first and foremost. And I know that's something that's already been worked out in future builds, but for the sake of this video, I have to mention it. Whether that be on the engine side, the server side, we need to find a fix for this almost immediately. Another thing I would love to see these guys working on more is optimization for lower performing systems. There's going to be a fair amount of people who are playing this game day one with lower spec hardware. And I'm talking i7s with 2080s or even older potentially. And I understand that this game is going to be a newer generation game that's being made on Unreal Engine 5, so not everybody can be included, unfortunately, because that's way too much time and money that these guys are gonna have to invest. It would be kind of unfair to expect these guys to have a build of Gray Zone Warfare ready for lower spec systems, but optimizing the build so we're at least getting 60 frames consistently is something I want to see done before the game even comes out in early access, because that is going to be a major thing that people will complain about regardless if the game is good or not. I also don't know how I would word this next bit, so I'm just gonna try to explain it the best way I can. I would love for there to be a feature in the game where whenever you grab like a phone or a laptop, you can actively upload data in like a mini game sort of thing. I can see it almost kind of being similar to something that you would see in a game like Helldivers 2 whenever you're trying to call in like an ordnance drop or a strike, and that can be done either in the field, at the home base, or depending on the mission, it can be both. And to kind of pair on with that, I would love the ability to kind of just plan out missions on a planning board of sorts, because in the base camp there's a little area where there's like a presentation board with chairs, but you can't really do anything with that area. There's also a little weight room. I hope we get to interact with that. There's also living quarters that I hope we get to interact with as well. So I guess to kind of start wrapping things up here, even though I had so many issues at the beginning of this playtest, this is still probably my #1 candidate for shooter of the year if the game comes out this year. You know, whenever I was in the middle of the playtest, I was telling the others that even though I have this Tarkov itch, Tarkov doesn't scratch that for me. This game is doing a better job at scratching the Tarkov itch than Escape from Tarkov does. And even though I don't like making the comparisons because it's starting to get tiring, Gray Zone still has to look at Tarkov as a #1 competitor. I also want to pair what I'm about to say next to the issues that I had in the playtest. You cannot sit here and tell me that this team does not give a shit about their people. You cannot sit here and tell me that the devs made a fake game to try to bolster attention. You can't even sit here and tell me that they added me into the playtest to try to boost my ego and that the VIP content creator role don't mean shit to them. And I'll even go out on a limb and say this: if it were any other studio, my faith in the project would be immediately lost. If Ubisoft, Activision, or any other AAA studio were to make a game like this and I had the same exact issues with their game that I had with this one, I would count myself out in that playtest. I would fully expect me to never play the game. I would fully expect not to hear anything from them. I would not be in DMs with multiple people trying to solve an issue. I wouldn't even be handed an INI file. These guys would simply forget about me and move the hell on. But Madfinger did exactly what dev studios are supposed to fucking do, and it's take care of the issues that have come up that nobody else was expecting. Is the game still releasing in Q1 of this year? No, it's not. But to be quite honest, I would much rather the game get delayed so nobody has a fucking issue versus the game coming out in just a few days and having more issues than what it's worth. These guys fully understood that. They understood the assignment and they aced the goddamn test. So for people out there trying to smear this game and saying that it doesn't deserve respect, it's a fake game, fuck you. Most of these guys were up for days on end fixing this issue even after the playtest had ended. So even if you still decide that Gray Zone may not be a game for you, you better show some respect to Madfinger for what they did. Because if you do not respect these guys for what they did, then that says a lot more about you than what it does about them. But yeah, guys, I hope you loved the video. I'm gonna keep posting Gray Zone content as long as they keep sending me stuff. Make sure you follow their socials and join their Discord. All of that's gonna be in the pinned comment below this video. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about Gray Zone Warfare. Are you guys gonna buy it day one, or are you gonna wait a little bit? Let me know down below. And while you're there, go ahead and hit that like button, that sub button, and smash that notification bell for more content like this. My name is Redbeard Mortis. Speak loud, speak the truth, and I will see you in the Gray Zone.